Welcome back to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast, a place where I interview tech leaders, CEOs, entrepreneurs, futurists, technologists, thought leaders, and even the occasional celebrity about how they are leveraging technology to transform their business. Now, Brightcove has a reputation for being one of the most trusted streaming technology companies in the world. So when I read that their CEO had said that the creator economy was now evolving into the producer economy, I felt compelled to find out more about exactly what that meant and also how technology is transforming this space. And I'm incredibly excited to get him on the podcast because before becoming the CEO at Brightcove, Marc was formerly Chief Digital Officer at Viacom CBS, where he helped launch Paramount Plus and CBS All Access, and was also CEO and President at CBS Interactive. So as a veteran in streaming, I wanted to learn more about his new role at CEO as Brightcove and how this video technology company is used by some of the largest media and enterprise companies in the world. So buckle up and hold on tight, because I'm going to beam your ears all the way to New York, where Marc is going to talk about all this, along with sharing his insights into the streaming wars and why each company has their own media company in today's digital market. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, thanks, Neil. My name is Marc DeBevoise, and I'm the CEO of Brightcove. And I've been in this gig for a little less than a year. It's a wonderful company. I was a customer of the company back in the mid-early aughts, 2006, 2005, when I was the head of digital and corp dev at a company called Stars in the US. And a little less than a year ago, came on as CEO to this company that's been around for 15, 20 years in the streaming technology space. And extremely excited. I've been in and around this space for a couple decades, managing sort of larger streaming entities throughout my career. And it was a unique opportunity to take over one of the leading technology providers in the space that really helps both media and enterprise companies achieve their, future goals with video over the internet.
Wow, there's a lot to unpack there. To go from former customer to CEO, decades of experience. I've got to ask, can you share your origin story, where your passion for tech came from, or just a moment that would put you on this path you're on today?
Yeah, look, I've had a really fortunate career run here. I mean, when I came out of undergraduate college, I knew that sort of technology and media were coming together. I didn't exactly know where that would come out. I started as a junior investment banker with a technology-focused bank, and then I realized quickly I did not want to be a grown-up version of that career. It was just not for me. And I dove into the media business wholeheartedly after I went to business school at NYU. And I ended up at various jobs at media companies, whether it was NBC, back when we were merging with Universal, formed one of the early digital teams there, or to Stars, which I mentioned earlier, which was a major cable network here in the States, and helped them sort of figure out their go-forward strategy on the digital front and built a pretty nice business there, to really where I spent the majority of my career, over 9 years, at CBS, and then the merger back with Viacom, which then created Paramount Global. I finished my time there after almost a decade as the CEO of CBS Interactive and the chief digital officer of the combined Viacom CBS company, which eventually was renamed Paramount Global. Me and my team are the founders of all of the streaming services that they launched, whether it was CBS All Access and eventually Paramount Plus, and some of the news and sports services that we launched. And it was a tremendous decade where we built tons of revenue, but also, shareholder value. And so when I left that job at the end of 20, I took a little bit of time to think about what I wanted to do next. I spent some time in the venture capital world and investing. And lo and behold, a company that I, was a former customer of called and said, we're looking for a CEO, and Brightcove. And after doing some, research and looking at the company and talking to the board, this was a fantastic opportunity, a public company that is effectively undervalued for the value that it delivers to customers and the growth that I think is here for us over the coming years, because the streaming business is still a tremendous business. It's still growing on an endemic basis globally. We have an incredible customer footprint of over 2,400 customers globally, and really just a unique value proposition that we solve those streaming technology problems. And our vision is to be the most trusted streaming technology company in the world. And it's a great seat to be in, for the coming few years. I'm very excited about it.
And there are a few things that put you on my radar, because I did speak with your former CEO, Jeff Ray, probably about 18 months ago, and I think he's retired now. And when I was doing I was doing a bit of research on Brightcove, I saw you with a new CEO, and also said that you said something along the lines of the creator economy is evolving into the producer economy. Can you expand on that?
Yeah, look, I believe there's been a lot of discussion about the creator economy in the past, let's call it 5 to 10 years, the emergence of social platforms as a place where new and existing content creators can actually, effectively put their content out on a platform, have it reach large, small or large audiences, and then effectively monetize it on a few of those platforms, mainly YouTube as the best monetization platform for them over the years, but starting to be, on the shorts platforms of YouTube Shorts and TikTok and Reels and the like. And so you have thousands and thousands, if not millions, of creators globally pushing content out into the world. The same time, you have this broad base of long form content producers, right? Traditional TV and film producers who have had, the boon of all boons, right? We've had the largest growth in content spending in the history of content. We're now at over 160 billion in terms of long form content spending across all the streaming and television and movie platforms in the world. But my sense is that that's changing, right? We're either at or near the peak of that spending, and therefore I would say great producers who have made, their living selling to others, that may not be their long-term future and how they want to own their own future and their own products. So my view is that while creator economy folks rely on the social platforms to garner their audience and their reach and then therefore their monetization, and traditional film and television producers rely on the big streamers to buy their product and then distribute it, but then sort of effectively lose ownership of their creative over time, that those things are going to change. Now, with the technology as efficient and affordable as it is, especially from companies like ours, these folks can go direct. They can go find their audience on their own sites, their own apps, and their own opportunities. They do not need to rely upon any one third-party platform or necessarily on one endpoint of streaming, with the caveat that for major film and television, you still have to be able to afford the large budgets that go behind some of that programming. But what I would say is that the revenue models are there if people with certain producers and certain creators who can garner their own audience and can reach their own, endpoints, that the monetization is now effectively doable, right? They can go out and distribute on their own and actually monetize on their own with the help of certain vendors or sort of, technology providers like ourselves and maybe others. But there really is this capability for them to own their own future. And my belief is that if you're a creator in the creator economy, I'm not saying turn off YouTube or turn off TikTok or stop doing it. What I'm saying is you may also want your next business to be reaching that audience more directly and not through a platform that takes up to half of the revenue off the top as they monetize your content. The same goes for, I think, for a small or a select few number of TV and film producers who, if they can garner the audience, have brand recognition in what they create, and have the ability to finance the creation of new product, the ability to go and license library product and build channels of their own is potentially there for them if they seek that. And those are areas of the business we're exploring deeply for the future, that we're thinking about how we approach creators and producers and how we might assist them in making that happen in the future.
And I'm curious, if more and more go direct, do you actually think that it's a very crowded marketplace at the minute with Apple, Disney, Netflix, Apple, HBO, and there's such a long list there I could read out for about 5 minutes. Do you think we'll see more consolidation in that space?
Yeah, potentially. I think what those guys are going after is mass, right? They're going after tens and tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of subscribers and or viewers. That's a mass business. So they're going to need huge amounts of content that's still going to need to be fed and still going to happen. And I don't think those businesses go away. As you said, maybe some of the smaller ones merge in. Yeah. What I'm talking about is actually more targeted, channel development, right? Can you go after a big enough but small enough audience that's targetable because they really are either the super fans of your brand, of your product, or of your capability? So, you think about, to a big company, 1 million subscribers, only means so much because they are spending so much. But if you can, cut that down to say like 1 million subscribers, at $5 a month, right? If you think about that, that's a $60 million a year business, right? And so can you fund a lot with a $60 million business? That doesn't sound that big, right? 1 million subscribers relative to the hundreds that Netflix has, the hundreds that Disney have, the tens and tens of millions that most of the others have. It's really, it becomes achievable over time, depending on where you head. And then there's also the ad supported business, where if you can garner an audience and you have regular content that you can create, if you're a creator on YouTube and you have what I would call a low cost of creation, right? You can actually create content in your own studio, on your own, in your own way that really reaches an audience. Man, there's a great opportunity for you to go reach that audience directly and garner what is a bigger share of your super fan, effective audience share. And then look, I also think you're seeing this reach out to broader brands that folks in the enterprise space, as we call it, right? Real companies that are reaching out in retail and technology and others need to make their brand really function online as if it were a consumer media brand, right? They act a little bit like a media company or like a content company in that regard, and that they have to promote their brand and their products and their awareness in the same ways. And so that reach means they're going to have internal producers that know how to create, great content and push it out into the world. And I think that's where we come in as a capability enhancement to what they do, today, to actually enhance their reach and how they convert their effective audiences into customers for whatever the business is that they're going after. Retail to me is the easiest to understand, right? If you're selling something online or in e-commerce, or even if you're selling something in brick and mortar, you need to convey that product, in a way that people can understand what it is, touch, feel, however that is. The best way to do that on the internet is not text and is not banner ads, right? It is actually video. And it's typically not specifically video advertising all the time, but can be, sort of demonstration and capability type video content that can show people, what your brand and what your product's all about.
Wow, you've just blown my mind with the potential there of that future that we're heading to and the kind of opportunities it could unlock. And on that side of things, can you expand on the role of this video technology in the streaming wars and how it can ultimately give companies a competitive edge in the near future?
Yeah, I look at the media side of our business and, the sort of streaming wars that you refer to as having sort of two, let's call it next 3 to 5 to 10 year impacts. The first is many of the sort of top 10 and top 100, let's say around the world, media companies have spent a lot of money on building a lot of technology internally, right? We call it do-it-yourself. Do-it-yourself is our biggest competitor in that space. We don't run up against a lot of competitors that can do all the things we can do. We definitely run up against a lot of those internal teams that have built, good technology internal to those companies. But the big thing that's changing is that the growth in sort of the big company streaming is actually slowing down, right? Growth is accelerating in everywhere else in streaming, but in that top end, they spent so much over the COVID few years and on content, all those pieces, that the growth is still growing, but it's growing at a slower pace. And so what you're going to ultimately find is that I think many of those companies are going to need to save money on the technology. And the most efficient way there is to turn to companies that are doing it on a broader basis for more people, right? And we are out there doing it for thousands of companies. And so when we are called into some of those companies, the best thing we can provide is an efficiency in the use of technology, because we can do it at scale. We can do it at the same quality level that those big companies are doing it at, but we can do it on a more cost-effective, basis. The second way I think it can actually enhance, as you said, sort of the competitive advantage that these companies have is the learnings we get from being the provider to hundreds, if not thousands of companies, right? So I look at that as you look back 10 years ago, 15, 12 years ago, this was happening in ad serving, right? The ad serving business was something that a lot of people had homegrown ad servers. I was one of them. And I inherited an entity in CBS Interactive that had 2 homegrown ad servers. We had one that we had built at CBS and one that was built at a company we had purchased called CNET Media Group. And we had merged the 2 companies and we had 2 different ad servers, both managed by full tech teams running those ad servers. When we came in as like a sort of a new management team, we looked at this and said, this might not be cost effective. First of all, we can save money by not just having one team, by having a very small team managed a third party entity that could supply us the same technology. Turned out to be Google then. By the way, I eventually switched also to Freewheel, the other one, in later years. So I've used both very good, very strong, capable companies. What we realized is we could save the money on the people, move those people to more value added areas of the business, front end development and other areas where we could, make a true differentiation for our customer, for our eventual end customer, save the money, and then also gain the expertise that Google had by running their ad server for hundreds, if not thousands of other customers, right? So all that value added intelligence went into the product development that was then running our ad server rather than just us and just our 20 or 30 people that were running our ad server. So I think streaming video tech is headed in that exact same direction. streaming video tech is not one thing. It's dozens of things that are stitched together to really make a solution, right? Whether it's encoding and transcoding and DRM and language and CMS to play out and monetization. There's all these parts of the supply chain of video streaming technology. I think as you think about that over time, right, that part, having the learnings of how each of those works across hundreds, if not thousands of customers will and does make those things more efficient to be utilized, for those companies, and gives them a competitive advantage of what those other companies are sort of effectively educating the system to be better and how it can be. And I think we see that in many of our technology systems already, and we're going to see more of it over time.
Wow, it's incredibly cool. So do you think we'll see the importance of companies acting as their own media companies? Do you think that's going to just exacerbate in the years ahead? Are we going to see more of that? And it'll become more important to them, right?
Yeah, I think on the enterprise side of our business that the companies need to think and act as though they were a direct-to-consumer, outreach type of brand, right? Like those streaming companies. That's what we mean when we say like a media company or like a content company. It's more that they have to treat the video that's either in their company that they need to create, more like the way a consumer outreach of a streaming service would think about it, right? And so we see that happening, and I think it's going to happen even more. Imagine you're a company that doesn't take that tact over the next 3 to 5 years. What is your level of awareness with the consumer base, with your B2B, base? We find video improves conversion, both from a retail perspective, but also from a B2B perspective. It just improves the way people think about your products, think about your services, convert, are engaged. All those pieces are all amplified when you use a video, product or tool to actually reach that audience. So we think it's going to increase in importance. The question is which companies are going to get over the hump of making that investment and figuring out that this is the right way they need to head and how much that's actually going to help them going forward. And I think that's we're sort of, if the streaming wars are at wave 2 or 3, I think this sort of thinking and acting like a content or media company is probably at wave 1 or 1.5, right? And we're really starting to head out into the sea together about where it's going to head.
Wow, it feels like there's going to be so many changes on the horizon. So with that in mind, how do you see the future of streaming and media consumption evolving? And how are you guys at Brightcove positioning yourselves to better adapt to those changes as well?
Yeah, look, I think we feel like we can serve both these end markets very, very well, right? Both the media companies and not just we think the top 100 are incredibly important to our business and a place that we're headed, but we think there are dozens, if not hundreds and hundreds more. We already serve hundreds more, but we think there's around the globe a huge and growing market for multiple services. We're seeing the largest growth actually in the market. You look at sort of the Nielsen data in the US or another data is not in those top 6 or 7 companies and their streaming services, but in the next set, as I call them, right? It's the next 100, 200, 300 services around the globe are really where the growth is going to accelerate over time. And so we are positioning ourselves directly on that wave, on our surfboard and ready to ride. We think they are going to need a company like ours to help them get over those next, few hurdles that are going to get them to their consumers and to that growth. And that is the service we supply. And when we build it for that type of company and the robust nature of how we build our services and our technology, that when we can customize it and directly apply it to use cases on the enterprise side, mainly for marketers trying to reach, sort of new customers and new customer bases, and for internal and external communications professionals who are trying to reach both their employees, because we all know video is how you engage with most of your employees these days, as well as your external constituents. We think we can ride that wave as well, right? With thousands of customers. Frankly, I think our addressable market in that space might be so big we can't measure it, right? There are thousands and thousands of companies who are going to need that around the globe. The real question for us is who are we going to focus on? Who do we think we can convert earliest, into that type of use case, and how do we get there? So I think we are positioned ourselves squarely in front of those two sort of waves, one of which is in sort of a phase 2, and one I think is still in sort of phase 1 or 1.5, about how they grow and about how they utilize this technology going forward. And I think we're very well positioned to help those companies achieve their goals, right? Is to help them either reach their new audiences, convert new audiences to their products, figure out how to communicate with their employees, their external constituencies, or if you're a media company, to really take your content and figure out how you're going to make money on it, right? How are you going to make money on it in this modern day? Is it going to be ad supported or subscription? But it's definitely going to be over streaming and over the internet.
And I appreciate there's probably not too much you can share, and you've probably got a long list of NDAs which prevent you from doing so. But is there anything you can discuss about any notable partnerships or collaborations Brightcove has had in the media and entertainment industry, or any recent developments or upcoming projects that you can share?
Yeah. So the good news is we have 2 partnerships in the last couple of quarters we can definitely talk about, which are very helpful. The first of which was a couple of weeks ago. We announced our partnership with a company called Magnite, which is the combination of a number. It's a public company, NASDAQ listed. It's known for being a supply side ad platform, right, for many companies, but it also has an ad serving technology called SpringServe. So we did like a dual deal with them. We, for a decade or more, have been in helping our customers deliver advertising through their content. We have what's called server side and client side ad insertion as part of our platform. That enables people to take content, stitch it to an ad block, and then stitch it back to the content again. So there's a seamless transition from content to ad to content. We already do that for our customer base. But we've never done is actually deliver the ad in the ad break or help them fill that with an actual advertisement, with an actual placement. We're now getting into that business on behalf of our customers with a partner, right? We're going to serve the ad using a SpringServe, and we're going to deliver potentially ads into that ad tag using a supply side platform called from Magnite. We're going to sign other partners on to this platform to add more, what I would call supply side demand, right? More advertising into the platform so we can help our customers make money. And our goal there is, look, we're a SaaS company at heart. SaaS is going to be our core revenue stream. We license you a video technology. You use it to deliver your video. But I think we can help you monetize that content too. And we take a small cut, but you get the majority of the revenue, overwhelming majority as a customer. And we think we can help you monetize that content over time. It's a business we actually should have been in for years and just haven't been. And we're now going to do it on behalf of our customers to help them grow and grow faster. And it all falls to our strategy of being what I would call accelerating and incubating, some of our customers' businesses to grow faster, right? And we're trying to help our customer be bigger, be better, be faster, because ultimately we think they'll be a better customer, a longer term customer, stickier over time. So that's our partnership with Magnite. We're excited. It launches effectively this quarter. We'll have our first, pilot customers on board here. We'll be off to the races for the rest of the year. The other one we announced in, I believe, early Q4, it might have been late Q3, was a partnership with Roku, which is effectively a very large streaming device platform that's become now a software platform for many devices in which to get your, sort of streaming interface and get on to streaming television. The partnership we did with them was threefold. We are now a reference app provider for the Roku platform. So if you are a customer of theirs or a partner of theirs and you want to get an app onto their platform, our app platform called Beacon is already certified to be immediately lit up and be able to enable you to get onto that platform quickly and easily. And we provide that service for, I would say, a lot of that next set that we talked about earlier in the podcast. And then we also signed on to enable ourselves to deliver FAST channels, free ad-supported streaming television channels, to their FAST platform when our partners have a deal with Roku. So the partners still have to do a deal with Roku to be on the platform, but we are now technology certified to be able to push those channels out onto that platform. And then the last thing we did is we signed a deal with them to help one of their content brands. They own something called This Old House, if you remember the television show from American Public Media, but it's a fixer-upper TV show that's been around for decades about your house. They own that brand, but they need to actually aggregate that video content and distribute it off of Roku and onto many other places. So we are the video management tool that they use on that brand to help it, be beyond Roku in those areas. So we did a nice partnership with them. And look, I see the partners out there as very extensive, and there's a lot of opportunity for us to do more in terms of how we partner with other, let's say distribution partners or monetization partners or other areas of the space that can really help our customers have more reach and have more capability. So we're going to, this isn't the last you've heard from us in these two, but these two are very exciting and we're excited about what they're going to bring for us in 2023.
Wow, sounds like an incredibly exciting time for you guys. And of course, it is very early in 2023, and you are a relatively new CEO, very ambitious, got a lot of big ideas, I'm sure. So can you share your vision for Brightcove and how the company fits into the current and future media landscape in your eyes?
Yeah, look, we are our vision is to be the most trusted streaming technology company in the world. right? I think we're effectively close, if not already there, but that's our vision. We want to get there. And that has two main components, right? We know it's streaming technology. We know that's what we want to provide. And then it has the words most and trusted, right? What does that mean? It means we want to be the most widely distributed, meaning we want, a large customer base and to be working with the most that we can. And we want to be the most trusted, right? We want to be the ones that people rely on. And I think that goes to where our NPS scores are, where our customer satisfaction, reviews come in, how reliable we actually are from a technology perspective, uptime and throughput, and how much volume we can handle. And I can tell you, we do this for very large media companies around the world. We do this for very large brands around the world, some of the largest that you can imagine. And I think we can do it for more. And so my vision for us is to continue to push the envelope in both in size and scale. We're trying to move our average revenue per customer per year up. We're trying to move the total number of customers, although I'm not so focused on total number, but in general, we think that growth will come from both of those metrics. And frankly, our goals are to grow, right? To get our company back to we call double-digit growth, right? We've been in the sort of low single digits from a revenue perspective for a year or two. Our belief is 10% plus should be the floor for us over time. And we're pushing to get back to that in sort of the 23, 24 type of time frame. We are the only truly profitable company in our space. We're EBITDA profitable and cash flow positive. And so we've been so for 5 years, and we want to maintain that type of profitability as we get back to growth. And so as we serve that media and that enterprise customer base, as we start to grow that ARPU and that overall customer statistic, we want to do it in a profitable way, which we think is very doable given the resources we have at this company. And so, sort of our pitch to whether it be investors or even to customers, right, is that this is a undervalued company with tremendous execution capability and potential for future growth, right? So we can do the things we're doing. We can do more. We have a vision for what those more things are, which we've laid out for both our customers and for Wall Street. And it goes to the growing areas of the business, whether it be building a fast channel capability, whether it be building a monetization capability for our media customers, whether it is building a marketing and content assessment service for our enterprise customers who are scared about how much video they have or what types of video they have. Can we tell them how to be better, smarter, faster at that? Yes, we're hiring leaders for that business now. And so we're excited about that vision and about delivering upon it for our customers and for our investors so that we can see that growth both in revenue and EBITDA, but also in enterprise value and the other things that go along with being a public company.
Well, I wish you the best of luck on your journey. And I'm curious, though, before I let you go, you are working in an incredibly fast-moving space. And I think in any industry, for anybody listening, there is this real pressure on everyone to be in a state of almost continuous learning. So I've got to ask, where or how do you self-educate and keep up to speed with the latest trends?
Yeah, look, I read all the things I can about the industry and around it, but where I get most of the best learnings and feedback is from the network of colleagues and professionals that I've built up over a number of decades and the ones that I have at this company. The people are really where I think we learn the most. I was a professor at my alma mater, NYU, my business school alma mater, the year before I joined Brightcove. And I once gave the commencement address to the undergrad school there. And I had to come up with sort of what my advice for young people was as they were graduating, from undergraduate business college. And I gave them three simple things. I said, first, got to have grit, which is effectively a long-term goal with the perseverance to effectively run through the hard parts and the walls that come at you when you have a long-term goal. So set a goal, run after it. Don't get held down or held back by the things that get in your way, sort of run through it. Second was the 80-20 rule, the Pareto principle, what do you spend 80% of your time on? What do you spend 20% of your time on? I said, spend 80% of your time on the things that can really make a difference, but definitely spend 20% of your time on the things you have to do, right? Don't let the things you have to do to be perceived, by your managers, your bosses, your industry as being in it, but focus on the 80. But the real key thing was about engagement. That was the third thing I said. I said, find something you can be engaged in. Find something where you have ambition for it and fun doing it and can thrive going after it. Everybody says go after your passion.
Yeah.
I don't know. What if your passion is not a very lucrative thing? Or, sometimes people's passion can be puzzles. I mean, sometimes it's hard to make a business out of that. So I'd say find something you can be very engaged in and can thrive in. I was lucky enough to find an industry where I love meeting new people. I love meeting new companies. I love looking at all the different pieces and parts of the business and how they fit together from both a business and a theory perspective. And so that network of folks has made me smarter and has helped me learn and continuously learn throughout my career. And so I encourage, our employees and also, young people as they're coming into the business to find that. And I think this is an incredible industry to be in, right? I mean, we're talking about content, and who doesn't get excited about content? And even we're talking about brands and brand growth and all these other pieces that to me are incredibly exciting. And we're using a very modern set of technology that has evolved over the past decade or two, to be at the forefront of our business. I mean, you can't beat that opportunity in terms of what I have to look forward to over the next, 5 to 10 years as it evolves. So, that's what gets me going. That's what keeps me learning. And I hope it does for a lot of our employees as well.
Awesome. We've covered so much in a short amount of time, so much food for thought there. For anyone listening who wants to find out more information about Brightcove and the work that you're doing, how they can contact your team, etc. I'm conscious there's that many different domain names now. Can you just remind everyone listening of where they can find Brightcove online?
Yeah, I always encourage, come to our website. It's brightcove.com. It's right there where you would think it would be. And you can also check us out on LinkedIn and many of the other social platforms, although I'd say LinkedIn's where we keep most of our B2B, an employee and customer-based communication going. So please find us there and, reach out if you have questions or thoughts or ways you want to work with us.
Well, consider my mind blown after listening to you today, talking about the create economy, evolving into the producer economy, the role of video technology in the streaming wars, and how it can actually give companies a competitive edge, and the importance of companies beginning to act as their own media companies in today's market, and how you see the future of streaming and media consumption, all washed down with your great story and some great advice. So just a big thank you, Marc, for sitting down and sharing your story today.
No, thank you, Neil. Thanks for having me.
So much gold in that conversation. I'm particularly intrigued about the create economy evolving into this producer economy. And I'm curious, how do you see the future of streaming and media consumption evolving? Marc shared his insights on everything that he's seeing happening in this space, and also the importance of companies acting as their own media companies in today's market. But I'm curious, what are you seeing? You're going to be experts in your field too, and I'd love to hear more about what you thought of what Marc is seeing, and also add in your opinions, your insights of what you're seeing out there. And as always, you can email me, techblogwriter@outlook.com, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, just @NeilC.Hughes. Let's keep this conversation going. And with all this talk of streaming, if there is a binge watch TV show out there that you think I should be checking out, I'm open to suggestions there too. So a big thank you for listening as always, and until next time, don't be a stranger.